Alright, so today's video is going to be about how you guys can bring up a weak body part starting the gym. Literally the first thing I wanted to do was, how do I bring up my arms? How do I get bigger arms, bigger shoulders, bigger whatever? So today's video is going to be addressing how to bring up like smaller body parts. So things like, think like your arms, your shoulders, maybe triceps. Calves I can't help you on because I still don't know how to grow my calves because my calves are, I have my dad's calf genetics, so my calves are like super high. So I've done a few things for calves, but I've just not been able to figure out how to grow my calves. Really blow up your arms, because that's one body part that I've been able to really grow the past couple years is my arms. So I have a few tips and tricks that I give you guys. So something like arms and shoulders and triceps, the first thing that's going to be of most importance for you is make sure you're doing the exercise correctly, like you're executing it correctly, because you can do all of the intensity techniques, all of the volume techniques, like how much you're doing it per week. But if you're not doing the exercise correctly, if you're not curling correctly, if you're not doing your lateral raises correctly, if you're not doing your push downs correctly, or whatever it might be, all the other things mean nothing. First note with like a smaller muscle group and really bringing it up and really getting it to grow is going to be volume more than you are your other muscle groups, obviously. So a way that I like doing this is on the front end or the back end. Probably the front end of like biceps. Let's just say, for example, like for me, if growing my biceps was of like a big goal of mine. What you could do is at the front of a bigger muscle group day. So let's say like lower, like a leg day, like a hamstring day or something like that. Tack on four to 8 sets of biceps before you get started, because doing 4 to 8 sets of biceps before you do bigger compound movements, like maybe like an RDL or like a hip thrust or like really heavy movements, that's not really going to tax you and take too much away from those sets. So you can throw in, I'd say, anywhere from like 6 to 8 sets of biceps before like a leg day. It's one of the most important things when it comes to like bringing up a muscle group. The more you work it, the more of the recovery bucket we have. Like remember that reference I made a couple videos ago was like you have this recovery bucket, and if you are doing that muscle more of the stuff in that bucket of recovery is going to go toward that muscle that you're hitting more. So volume is very important. So a way you can do that is, like I said, is just tacking on a couple sets before like a bigger muscle group day. So something like lower, like quads, maybe hamstrings or something like that. I know a lot of guys are, what's the perfect rep range? And obviously there is not a perfect rep range. There's not a perfect set range or whatever. But from what I've noticed and what I've grown the best from is smaller muscle groups. Like I keep saying, like biceps, triceps, forearms, biceps, side delts, rear delts will always do better with like a higher rep approach, like 15 to 20, throwing some drop sets, throwing some supersets, things like that. You'll see like maybe on social media, like you have like myofibrillar hypertrophy, which is like the dense part of the muscle, the thick part of the muscle. So that's where you're going to be in more of the 6 to 8 rep range, doing things like an RDL, doing things like a deadlift, a squat, a leg press, things like that. And then you also have sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which is sarcoplasmic is like more of the pop of the muscle, and you're going to achieve that with higher reps, lower weight, pump work. And I think having a good mix of the two is how you are going to build like a complete physique, obviously. But if you're trying to grow like a smaller muscle group, I found the most growth to come from like 15 reps and above. Like any of my bicep exercises, any of my tricep exercises, except for one, side delt, rear delt, calves, forearms, you're never going to see me go below 15 reps, or at the very least 12 reps. I've just found the most growth to come from high reps and just pumping the piss out of it. So like my stance on things like that is like small muscle groups, more of that sarcoplasmic work, if you want to say it like that. And if someone that I suggest all you guys go watch is or learn about is Neil Hill. He has this thing called Y3T or YT3 or Y3 something training, and it's where you have different approaches to muscle groups to have like a complete muscle, because like you don't just want to work in a 6 to 10 rep range all the time. You don't just want to work in a 15 and above rep range. You want to do a mix of the two, because we have myofibrillar hypertrophy and we also have sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. It's like you wouldn't want to make a cake with only flour or only eggs or only milk. You want to have a little bit of everything to have like a complete a complete muscle, complete physique, whatever you want to, however you want to put it. Up the point on volume, tack on some sets before like a leg day. Volume is one of the most important factors in bringing up a lagging muscle group or a weak muscle group in your opinion. Your rep ranges for a smaller muscle group, in my opinion, for 15 and above. Drop sets, supersets, however you want to program it in. And then I also suggest having like a full day for that muscle. So like if, let's say arms is a weak point for you, or you just want bigger arms, because I mean, fuck, who doesn't want bigger arms? If arms are of priority for you, have a day programmed within your split that's a full arm day. If growing your shoulders is a big priority for you, have a day where you come in and hit side delts, rear delts, maybe little traps in the whole shoulder. Just have a full day set for whatever muscle group you're trying to hit. My favorite thing with small muscle groups and really bringing them up and trying to hammer them is things like rest pause sets, things like drop sets, supersets. And one of my favorite I got from Brett Wilkin is called a stretch pause. So like, let's say I'm doing a curl. You can do this for, I guess, mainly arms, like triceps and biceps, but one of my favorite, you can do it for back and chest too some, but it's like, let's say I just failed. I'm just gonna sit here and really let the bicep, like relax the shoulders, really let the biceps stretch, get a good stretch, and then once I think I can go again, just start pumping them out again. So let's say I got 15, I fail, get a good stretch pause. That's kind of hence the name stretch pause. And then once you're ready to go again, just start pumping them out again. Give that a try on your next arm day and let me know how it feels. Any muscle group you're trying to grow, be it your biceps, be it your triceps, whatever. And this is like, you see this very commonly with like abs or something like that. You're like, I'm doing abs so much, I'm doing my arms so much, and they're just not looking bigger, they're not looking as defined. You might just be fat. Like, I'm gonna shoot you straight. You might just need to lose some weight. The big reason that I think my arms look semi-decent is because I've just lost the weight and they look more defined. And like, what you'll come to realize, you'd think like bulking, you would look bigger, and then when you cut down, you're gonna look smaller. But like, it's almost from what I've experienced, the opposite. It's like, once you cut down, you become more defined, your muscle just presents bigger because you can see more of it because you're not as fat. So like, my arms haven't gotten like inches bigger over the past couple years. They've just gotten more defined, which perceives them as, they're perceived as bigger, but they are just more well seen, basically. Same thing with your abs. You know, guys will hit abs and hit abs and hit abs, and they're like, dude, my abs, I can't see my abs. Well, it's probably because you're fat. Simple as that. You're probably just fat. So that's another thing, is like, maybe you're hitting triceps or delts or arms or calves or whatever, and you just can't, they're not seeming to grow. You just can't see them because you got a little bit of pudge left, and that's fine. But that's just another aspect of that I'll come to realize is like, you can do all the volume, all of the intensity techniques and all whatever, but if you are just fat still, you're just not gonna be able to see it as well. Let's do a little recap on my tips on how to grow, bring up a lagging body part, or bring up a body part that you want to grow. The most important thing is going to be, two most important things are going to be your technique and your intensity. If you're not doing the exercise correctly, all of the volume, all of the intensity techniques that I've taught you are going to just go to waste. If you're not doing it correctly, you're not stimulating the muscle correctly, it's all a waste of your time. Two is going to be intensity. From every single research that I've read, and anecdotal evidence, and just meatheads, bodybuilders just doing this for years and years, the closer that you take a muscle to failure, the more of those stimulating reps that you are going to get at the end of a set. The more of those stimulating reps that you get and that you achieve, the more opportunity that you have for growth. And then all that stuff in that recovery capacity bucket that we keep talking about is going to be fueled more to the bicep, tricep, delt that you're trying to build. Two is going to be volume. The more volume, the more chances, the more that you tear down a muscle, the more chances you're giving your body to grow that with the food that you're eating. So the ways that you can implement that are going to be tacking on extra sets on days that you have like another body part. So like, let's say you're doing like for me, hamstrings, I could knock in like 6 to 8 reps or 6 to 8 sets of like biceps at the beginning of that, because that's not going to tax me too much to where it's going to be taken away from like an RDL movement or a hip thrust or something like that. The last thing on volume is going to be having a full day for that muscle. So if you're trying to bring up your biceps or your arms or whatever, a full-on arm day. Like a good example of this could be like push, pull, legs, rest, upper, or how would I program this? If you're trying to bring up your arms, I could suggest like push, pull, legs, rest, legs, arms, rest, repeat. Or if you're doing like a 4-day split, it can be push, pull, legs, arms, push, pull. I would say push, pull, off, legs, arms, off, repeat. Yeah. Push, pull, off, legs, arms, off, repeat. So I like doing 2 or 3 days on and then off. You also want to have time between your sets, time between hitting that muscle as well, because you don't want to like you wouldn't want to do biceps on Monday and then biceps again on Tuesday. You want to give at least a full day of recovery, in my opinion, for like a small muscle group to recover, obviously, because if you just do them every single day, you're not giving it enough time to recover and to grow. And like we know, you grow outside of the gym, not in the gym. So if you're gonna do that, be sure that you're giving yourself like a good 24 to 48 hour period in between hitting that muscle again. When it comes to reps, and then when it comes to reps and sets, I think a higher volume, higher rep approach to a small muscle group, so like biceps, triceps, delts, calves, forearms, all that kind of jazz, a higher rep set, so 15 and up, no less than 12 is the best approach for growing a muscle like that. Biceps specifically, I've seen the most growth in my biceps whenever I have implemented more higher rep sets, drop sets, supersets, stretch pause sets, that kind of thing. I don't see any application to where doing a set of 6 or a set of 8 with biceps is going to be of any benefit, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. And then you also have to remember that genetics play a big role in how well or how badly your muscle is going to grow. Like for me, I'm not going to say this is true or not, but I genetically just don't have good calves. So like I could do calves the most perfect, optimally way, and they're probably just not going to grow that well. And biceps can be the same thing for you. You may just genetically have like really weird looking biceps, or just they don't grow as well. So all these techniques that I'm telling you and all these whatever may not work for you. It may not work for you, but it's worked for me. And so that's just going to be how it goes with a lot of things. So that's how it is with everything on social media. You have to take all the advice that you hear on social media with a grain of salt, because that person's genetics are different from yours. Also, use this example. It's like we also all have different genetic makeups of like muscle fibers. So like there's type 1 fibers, type 2 fibers, type 2A fibers, and all that kind of stuff. So like the way that your muscle is compromised and the way it's built is also going to play a factor in what it takes to build that. So like if you have more, I'm not gonna put a name on it, I don't know it perfectly, but I think it's like type 1 fibers. I think type 1 is more of the like myofibular type fibers. Don't fact check me on that, I'm not sure, but like if your muscles are more built of those muscle fibers, it's going to take more of a lower rep rate for you to grow that muscle, if that makes sense. So if you're more compromised with that, all this advice I'm giving you is pretty much useless. But if your muscle, like let's say your bicep is more built with like, I guess maybe type 2 fibers, or I don't really know off the top of my head which one is correct or which one's not, but like if your muscle is more compromised of those fibers, then all this advice could be used to benefit. So just take any advice that you hear on social media with a grain of salt, as we are all genetically different and we all have different makeups of our muscles and everything. With all that being said, I'm going to shut up because my mouth is getting dry from fucking talking so much today. And I am going to wrap this video up. If you enjoy the quick educational type videos like this, let me know and I'll do some more about maybe, I wouldn't tell you how to grow your legs. I still have chicken legs, so I can't really give you too much advice on that. But if you want more of these educational type videos in the future, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. And I will see you guys in the next one.